And I can't hold it much longer. Gonna let go so I can be free.
There he is. Most popular man at the winter meetings. That was fun, AJ. I haven't talked to you since that whole whirlwind.
Yeah, it was exhausted. I know that. It's a lot of schmoozing and a lot of saying hello and a lot of hanging out and a lot of people you haven't seen in a while. And then I took Scott into the equipment managers, vendors stuff. So then Scott got to meet people from all these companies that he didn't know existed, like New Era and Adidas and Nike and all these weird companies that Scott's like, wait, what do they do for a living? So, that was also fun.
No, there's some random ones, Kratz, where they're like, yeah, we don't do the batting gloves, but there's like this little insert that you can put in the batting gloves and it makes you feel really comfortable at the play. I don't know, I'm just making shit up. But, like there's some really in-depth equipment out there to look out for, or maybe not look out for.
If Scotty played, he would have been a no batting gloves guy, no shin guard guy. He would have just gone out with some Bobo All-American cleats and just stood up there and been like, Coach, I'm here to do whatever you need me to do.
Happy Gilmore, right to the chest.
But he would have been in the minor leagues. He would have been in the minor leagues with a big league tattoo just below his neck. Like he would have been that guy, like the big league symbol, the Major League Baseball symbol, this one right here. And that's what he would have done. But you were exhausted because 41 times during our shows at the winter meetings, the two of you said hi or waved while we were on camera at somebody else. I had a full final tally here. It was 41 times. It shows you, I get you're exhausted. You guys were exhausted.
Only 41? I would have thought it was way more than 41 times. Scotty, come on. There was way more.
It felt way more.
Felt like way more than 41 times. It felt like,
if you think about it, AJ, 41 times that our show gets interrupted in a 3-day span. That's a lot. That's like 10 times per show. That's a lot.
But it still felt like way more than that. It still felt like
the amount of times people came up to us and just wanted to start talking. There was one, the best one was like a fan who's just coming full force to AJ for autograph and photo, like just beelining right to the set. And then after that, we had to get our tallest intern to step in the way of people like that because, it's like a fan running on the field. It was starting to get dicey. And that's all I'm going to say about that one. The bar scene, last thing too, the bar scene was really fun because the lobby bar can fit a ton of people, right? It's not really a capacity kind of situation. And it was packed beyond belief. I didn't do Monday, thankfully, because I would have been a problem by Wednesday. But Tuesday, I closed the place out and it was packed. It was really fun. I'm not going to name the person, but someone came up to me and said, it was a pretty prominent person. And he said that he would be a very frequent guest on our show if I stayed out later than him. And I was like, he doesn't know me like that. And I was
lost. You lost that bet.
Me?
You lost. Yeah, you lost that bet.
I closed the place out. He left 2-3 hours before me. I told you that story. I said,
I know who it is.
I'm going to save you on this one. Don't place the bet.
Yes.
I said,
I know who this person was. I was there with him I was there with him that night too.
The night before, right? Or that night? No, you were there with him?
That night. Yeah, I was there with him that night.
Yeah. So it was a good time. Good time hanging.
But it was great. There was more managers in the bar than I remember. And not as many front office-y people. There was a couple, but the equipment guys came down on Tuesday night, right? It's Kratz, you'll love this one. So I'm standing there and I'm talking to, I don't know who I was talking to. And guy comes up to me and goes, hey, what's up? And I'm like, hey, how are you? And he goes, you don't know who I am, do you? And I said, I know who you are. Hold on, give me a second. You work for, and I go, you work for, Oakland. And I was like, nope, wait, that's wrong. You're Milwaukee. You're Schwarger, Schwieger, Slapper, Slamson. You're the equipment guy for the Brewers. And he busted out laughing. He's like, I knew it. You would get it eventually. And he's like, you asked me for catcher's equipment for your son. You don't even know what I look like. And I was like, that's not true. Kratz made me do it.
That's fine. I'm fine if you throw me under the bus. But Schwager with his brutal clubhouse haircut.
Yeah,
brutal. And you're much better with names. I would have sucked there. I've been like, hey, how is everything going? And I'd hope for someone else to come up and I'd be like, hey, this is my friend AJ. Have you ever met AJ Pierzynski? And then they would introduce themselves to you, and then I'd be like, oh yeah, I remember now.
That's pretty much why I had Scott by my side for a couple minutes. But then you run into people like, Johnny Gomes, who now is an agent, and you're like, wait, what? You're a what? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah. There's like just people sitting in this area that are doing just there to be seen by people. And then you had like the whole MLB network area of the bar, which, was cool to see a lot of those guys, Harold and Matty V and those guys who I haven't seen, you don't see that much. And Amsinger with his perfect hair that makes Scott jealous, things like that. And then you see agents and you see equipment reps and you see the equipment guys and you see the traveling secretaries and you see everything. It's amazing. You see hotel reps that when you used to stay at their hotel, they'd hook you up with suites if you were nice to them. I mean, it's a total schmooze fest.
I did a full-on debate at like 3 a.m. with Greg about a bunch of league topics. It was great. It was like a show. If you could just put that on. I mean, I could. He can't. I know. I worked there. You can't say those things, but it was fun.
My favorite people to see at those things, I went to the winter meetings for 1/2 a day. I flew in and flew out when it was last year. I love seeing the trainers because I went to the trainers portion of it because I helped a guy pedal a thumb guard that is, revolutionizing the game. I love seeing the trainers and I love seeing the equipment guys. I really like all the other guys. It's cool to see like guys I played with, guys I played against that are fun to hang out with. But I love seeing those behind the scenes people because it's kind of an opportunity for them to kind of let their hair out and like they're not technically working, even though they're there for their job. They're not technically working. It's fun. It's fun to hang out with those guys for sure.
We decided as a network, like we're going to go back every time we can go. Now, next year we won't be back because there will be a lockout and it happens right before. So again, that doesn't mean you miss games, but you're definitely not having the winter meetings. Just throwing that out there. All right, we got breaking news and a ton of things to hit. Let's start. The Philadelphia Phillies have found their missing outfielder, and his name is Adolis Garcia, ALCS MVP from 2023, and has had 2 down years since, but maybe the Phillies find a little magic here. Kratz, what do you think of the move? They definitely wanted to do some things with their outfield. Max Kepler gone. Nick Castellanos eventually will be gone. Adolis Garcia is not the same bat anymore. He's not getting on base or even slugging like he used to, anywhere near what he used to, right? I mean, he's about near league average with the bat overall in terms of offense, but that's not what he used to be. And he does still have a cannon for an arm and a pretty strong glove range-wise. Do you think this is going to help the Phillies more so than what they had this past season?
I mean, I think he's the Max Kepler 2026. Obviously, he's right-handed. Obviously, he's had better seasons than Max Kepler. But when you talk about like his on-base percentage wasn't the same percentage-wise, it was about the same. Like when his batting average goes up, his on-base percentage goes up at the same time. I think you sit there and you go, what is the reason that they signed him? Well, the reason is they're probably not making a huge splash in the outfield market. And I think of the not huge splashes, this is probably the best available. And we always talk about teams like the Rays. Like when the Rays go and get a pitcher, you're like, whoa, what are they going to unlock? Anytime Kevin Long is your hitting coach, if Adolis Garcia is willing to listen, I have never seen anybody go and hit with Kevin Long for an entire season and say, man, he got worse with K Long. You see what K Long has done with other guys that are willing to make changes and willing to work. So maybe I'm a little bit, it's more of a blip in the radar for me, but don't expect him to hit 40 home runs. Like I just don't see that coming into it, but if he can get back to the 25 to 30 range, to me, that is a massive, massive pickup for the Phillies because he's not going to be an on-base guy. He's going to be high strikeouts compared to the amount of walks that he gets.
Can he hit a fastball again? Can he figure out how to hit a fastball again?
Better figure it out.
That's where he went away. Did they stop throwing fastballs in the NL East? Because if they didn't, he has struggled for 2 years since 2023 when they won a World Series at hitting fastballs and high fastballs. And that's kind of the new thing. And teams figured it out. And once they got him locked in on those high fastballs, then they were throwing him breaking balls and he would expand. So, yeah, I love K. Long and what he's been able to do. But Adolis Garcia is, how old is he? How old did you guys say he was?
33.
He's getting up there, right? Because according to most front offices, 28, you're like too old to play anymore. So at 33, geez, he can't figure it out. He can. It's just he's going to take some work. He's going to have to make some swing adjustments. And this guy's an athlete. This guy's jacked. But I don't know. Unless he figures out how to hit the high four-seam fastball, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to be able to get out of him.
I also think it could help him because he's going to be more of like, if he's hot, a fifth or sixth hitter. If he gets hot with the Rangers, as soon as you get hot for a week, the Rangers are going to be like, here he is, 2023 Adolis, ALCS MVP Adolis. Like, we got to move him back in the 3-4 hole, or Seager's out of the lineup. Oh, we got to put him, he's up there. He's our guy now. I don't think he'll ever be, no matter how hot he becomes in this lineup, in the Phillies lineup, I don't think he'll ever be more than a fifth or sixth hitter, which, again, if you get 25 to 30 home runs on a team that was starving for home runs, it would be a massive, massive upgrade for the Phillies. I wouldn't hold my breath if you're a Phillies fan, because when you're expecting a successful season to be 250, 300 on base percentage and 25 home runs, don't expect the 2023 Adolis. Just don't, even though he's in a platform year and, some crazy things happen in platform years, I just wouldn't put the level of expectation too high.
Upgrade. Also, keep in mind, Justin Crawford should get his chance this year. I know it's a prospect, so you got to see what it looks like. That's Carl's son, but he's a pretty highly regarded prospect for Philly. So maybe Justin's out there, Adolis is out there. It looks very different in the outfield for the Phillies this coming season.
Yes, it's an upgrade because it's a right-handed bat. And I think they had some issues making sure that they killed lefties. I'm not saying Adolis is a platoon, but Justin Crawford is lefty. You already have Brandon Marsh. He's lefty. Is he an upgrade over what Harrison Bader gave them at the end of the season? No. Philly fans want Harrison Bader. I don't think the Phillies are going to dip into that water on his platform year, so I don't think they're bringing him back. Is he an upgrade over Kepler? I think you'll get a little bit more juice and a little bit less on base percentage. So how to say it's an upgrade? I don't know. I mean, I think Adolis will play he'll definitely play a better right field than Castellanos, but you can't have Adolis taking time away from Justin Crawford if Justin Crawford hits the ground running for him.
So what's the ideal layout here?
Marsh, I don't know. Adolis has to play right. Castellanos has to be gone. I don't know. I still think they need another outfielder.
I think with Crawford, I think Crawford plays center. I think Marsh plays left.
You think Crawford breaks with the team?
Yeah,
you think Crawford breaks opening day with the team? Wow. Okay.
From what I've heard, even Jim Salisbury said it, but I've heard it from pretty reliable sources. It's his job to lose. Now, is he going to be the everyday center fielder? I don't know. I don't know if they'll throw him in left and have Marsh say, okay, Marsh was a good center fielder before they started getting Bader, before they did the Johan Rojas experiment. But I think their ideal, if it would work out, would be Brandon Marsh in left, Adolis Garcia in right, and Justin Crawford in center. And I think it will, I think that could kind of change based on, would you do a Wes Wilson in left when they face a lefty? Because they will not let Brandon Marsh face a lefty, and I don't think anything changes in that sense starting the year.
I know this is not young or old for rookie terms, but Justin Crawford's going to turn 22 years old in January. So this will be his age 22 season coming up.
It's time.
Yeah, it's time. We're going to talk to Jim Bowden later, but he has commented on other shows of his like, hey, Philly's a little bit conservative compared to most teams with their prospects. They like to let them marinate, and that's fine. And they also don't have as many spots open. But his point was what yours is. It's time. Let's go. Let's see what this looks like, right? If it has to be a little up and down, okay, but let's try this out in the big leagues.
Everything's there. Trying it out in the big leagues to me is Justin Crawford. He has the talent to make adjustments, and he's going to be a guy that has to make the adjustments in the big leagues. You can say, Justin, we need you to elevate the ball more. That's the biggest knock against him. Elevating the ball in AAA against dudes who are not very close to the caliber of what you're going to face in the big leagues could give you some false positives, like, whoa, 15 home runs in a full AAA season. I don't know. I mean, I'd rather see him hit 12 home runs in the big leagues and learn around a lot of big league vets, because he's not going to be put in a situation where he has to be the man right out the gate.
What else do we want for Philly? Anything on the wish list? JT,
a reliever?
Real Muto?
Yeah, they need a catcher and a reliever.
Okay.
If they don't have JT, are they going to run Marchand out there every day? I mean, that's kind of where you're at. So they're going to have to go get somebody there, and they always can use another reliever. I know they have Duran and Alvarado, but they can always Kirk Ring and some of these others, but another veteran will look nice in the back end. If they want to win the World Series, which is what their goal is, for me, they need that.
I think it lies in Pete Fairbanks, or a Pete Fairbanks type. I don't have the list right in front of me. I think obviously they weren't in the elite level. I don't even think they were in like the closer level, where I know Kenley just signed, but not getting like a Kenley Jansen. I don't think that's like Kenley's not coming to be the eighth inning guy. He's not coming to the team. He's going to be the closer to get his closer saves records. But I think, it sits in the Pete Fairbanks type of move. Maybe they move Strahm to be not so lefty heavy, even though Strom's not even really like a left on left guy. They already have Tanner Banks and Jose Alvarado. So, and maybe they would get right-handed somewhere, in a trade or something like that. So I think that's where it sits. Obviously, you need catcher, and I think it's JT, or there might be a little bit of panic in Philly if JT doesn't sign there.
That's Harper's BFF too. Remember last time?
And Schwarber's.
Yeah, and Schwarber. That's right. Hey, if this was the Mets, they'd be like, nope, not good enough. You guys got bounced in the first round of the playoffs. Or the DS, right? You got the buy and then the DS. We're breaking the band up. You guys aren't allowed to be buddies again. I mean, a little bit of a different situation. I know I'm messing around. Yeah. But still, I do think for Philly, I guess the one other thing is, is Alec Boehm back for one more season? Right? Because he's a free agent after this year, or is it after next year? I think this is his platform year.
This is his last year.
Yeah.
I think maybe if there's a way that they package Castellanos and Boehm to a team that needs a outfield DH, first baseman, and a third baseman, I think there's some value there. I guess I'm kind of being, I'm just recycling that because they tried to do it last year for Tucker. I just would be leery if you're the Phillies. Like, okay, well then who are you backfilling at third base? Because Boehm's become a very serviceable defender there, and in a full healthy season, the last two full healthy seasons, you're talking about 97 stakes. A guy that doesn't hit a lot of home runs, but does a great job of taking the ball the other way, elevated. I think you have to be careful that you're backfilling it with something as comparable in the lineup.
All right, good stuff.
They got a lot of work. They got a lot of work to do. They still have work to do. Even after Schwarber and some of the other stuff they've done, they still have work to do. Don't forget they get Wheeler back this year. They still have Nola. What do they do with Ranger Suarez? They have Luzardo as Painter. Is Painter a pitcher for them this year, right? Is he one of their guys they're counting on this year? So there's questions for a team that's supposed to be going for the World Series.
Well, let's get to another team in the division. Shake it up. We didn't know it at the time, but that bar was actually built for the Mets this offseason. They are shaking it up. Pete Alonso gone. Edwin Diaz gone. Brandon Nimmo gone. Who is going to replace people like this? Jorge Polanco, who was a little postseason hero in Seattle, and they really wanted him back. 2 years, $40 million. Mets outbid the Mariners, and he's going to do a little first base, a little DH. He can fill in other spots around the infield. He had a great year regular season, great postseason. They gave him a good chunk of DH time to mix in with second base and felt like that kept him healthier because he's had injury issues. And according to Adam Jude, as we just saw on the tweet, he covers the Mariners for the Times out there. He was torn because he wanted to go to the Mariners, and they just weren't getting up to the offer that the Mets were. I mean, you never love to see that when you're a Mets fan or a fan of any team. Like, you were his second option, but you paid him to go there. Not that he's going to play any differently, but he really wanted to go back to Seattle. What do you think of the player, though, AJ? I mean, you got to watch him in the division series that you covered for Fox, that you broadcasted. He had a great postseason, and he is nothing like Pete Alonso. Very different profile player.
Do you get the good Polanco? Do you get the Polanco from 2025? Because 2024, he wasn't very good, if you remember. And in 2024, he went back to Seattle on a 1-year, $7 million deal, just as kind of like, whew, somebody will take me back. So which one are you getting? And the next question for me is, who's in the Mets infield right now? Because is he going to play first base for him? Because don't they have Semien playing second? Don't they have Lindor at short, Brent Beatty at third, Vientos at first? So where does he play? That's my question.
First,
because
DH.
Okay, but you want to lock that up with a guy who doesn't hit a ton of homers and can be up and down offensively, right? So this was you know what this felt like? And Mets fans, you're going to hate Kratz for him saying this, but this felt like a panic signing because they didn't sign anyone else, and they're like, we got to sign somebody to make our fans happy. So let's just go sign. Not that Polanco's not a nice player, but I don't know. It doesn't fit it doesn't fit what you would think that the Mets would be looking for. And maybe he'll prove me wrong, and I hope he does. But I just don't know why Kratz would think that this doesn't work.
I'm not sure why I'm thrown under the bus, but I appreciate it. And first, I can take that. I can take that from Mets fans. First, though, Scott, you said, "Oh man, you don't feel good that the Mets had to give extra money to get a guy to the place where he wanted to go back somewhere else, but because they spent the money." Look, the Mets got to do this. We talked about this. If the Mets fans are going to look at it and go, "Well, you could have just spent more on Pete Alonso. Well, you could have spent more on Jorge Polanco." This is really who the Mets wanted. This is who David Stearns and maybe Stevie Cohen. I think this is probably a little below Stevie Cohen's care meter. He's like, talk to me when we get $20 million a year, guys. Then I'll talk about it. But I think this is who they wanted, and so good for the Mets. I would say good for the Mets that they had to pay a little bit more to pull him away from a place where he wanted to be. My thing is, Jorge Polanco, you talk about up years, down years, what is causing that? I can have plenty of theories. Does he come into this lineup and his strikeouts keep spiking? Because all his years, his worst years, his strikeouts spike. And why are they spiking? I have no idea. Is it because he becomes more of a focal point? He came to Seattle that year and he struck out, I forget what, 137 times. Last year, he dropped that by 55 less strikeouts in almost the exact same amount of at-bats. And to me, is it because of who's around him? So do the Mets get more value out of this signing, no matter if he's playing at first base or DH? Just doesn't feel like a great first base or DH signing. But are they getting more value out of him because Lindor is going to be ahead of him hitting? Soto is going to be ahead of him hitting, and he's not the guy. When he goes to the Mariners, they're expecting him to be his on-base percentage self, and he just fell into the Mariners mold of, well, everybody strikes out, so I'm going to strike out. He had his largest spike in strikeouts. So how do they get the most value out of him? Maybe they see something that, hey, when he's watching guys like Soto take his pitches, he becomes more he becomes less aggressive and doesn't need to feel like he has the weight of the team on his shoulders. I don't know. I'm confused that they now have cornered the market on Jorge Polanco and Marcus Semien at second base. And it's like, well, only one can play second. Do you think Simeon's going to DH? Like, I don't. No, he's not, because he wants to play every day and he's got to be the second baseman.
I mean, his
value's in defense.
DH. Yeah.
His value's in defense. So I'm confused when teams like the Orioles last year, when they went out and got Tyler O'Neill, I was like, this isn't where they need to spend their money, but they did. So I don't know all the inner workings, but from the outside, I think he's a good player. I just am confused that that's where, like, is this the replacement for Pete Alonso? If it is, whoa boy.
It is the replacement for Pete Alonso, guys. It is. I mean, AJ, you're coming into the season not expecting everyone to be hurt. Actually, they have a really durable infield. Lindor plays. Semien plays. Beatty, I guess, is younger, but if you figure those guys are healthy, and if Beatty takes another step, then Jorge Polanco is your first baseman, maybe splitting time with Vientos and DH.
Why? That's why the signing doesn't make sense. Why go trade for Semien and then sign Polanco? Go get somebody else that can fill that role. Polanco's not a 40-plus home run guy. He's really never played first base. You have Vientos, who you got to get at bats. You have Beatty, who you need to get at bats to. Why? It doesn't. This is why this signing doesn't make any sense to me. Where does he fit in this roster other than just giving a player to Carlos Mendoza and saying, try to figure out how to play him?
Yeah, I'm confused. He played last year. He played one game at first. That was his first game started at first base, 5 at third base. So if you're looking for like a versatile player, I don't know. He had 80. I didn't know this. AJ, you covered the Mariners. He had 87 starts. 87 starts at DH. I had no idea. And the Mariners, I felt like, kind of hamstrung themselves a few years ago when they signed Mitch Garver. Yes, he can catch, and they had him catch a little bit more this year, but it was more like, hey, he's going to be that DH. They were lucky that Cal Raleigh can play 150 games behind the dish. Like, you kind of I just am confused at when you put a guy like this. He's kind of like, is he your backup second baseman if something happens to Semien? If that's the case, why do you make that trade? Like, why do you make the trade for a guy who's durable? That's his superpower. That's Simeon's superpower. That's a position you don't need to backfill at. Luis Angel Acuna is your backup second baseman. I am confused by this, because you would think there would be a higher value DH out there on the market, but maybe they don't see it that way.
They might be trading some of their young guys. Acuna, Ronnie Mauricio, and others could get dealt for pitching. The one thing I think they will try and do is pluck a pitcher, because they don't want to play ball with the long-term starting pitching contracts. If that's not you, there is a way to get around that, and that is trading for guys.
But is Luis Angel Acuna going to get you a top-flight starting pitcher? In order for them to get top-flight starting pitcher, you know what they're going to have to do? Trade some of their pitching prospects. And a lot of teams like the Mets don't want to do that. They're going to say, well, especially if you're the Mets, if you can go sign a guy, why don't you go sign a guy? If you can make a trade. You know what would have made more sense for the Mets? Ketel Marte.
Too soon.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Too soon. Of course.
It would have made a lot of sense, but the problem is the ask.
Okay. Well, if you're going to go out and get a top flight starting pitcher, and you're saying they're going to use their prospects, how high do you think the ask is going to be for that? McLean and Tong for whoever you want to go get?
I think they would ask.
Right? I mean, that's right away.
No, but you're not trading McLean. But I'm saying I think the Diamondbacks could have a conversation, or maybe they did already, and they ask for Tong and Sproat, something like that. Do you make that deal if you're the Mets?
I would do that, but we can't even talk about this. They decided to have a salary swap, and they went defensively. They went defense at second base. So to me, you just can't. It's like if anybody ever does fantasy football drafts, it's like the guy who's like, oh, I'm going to have 3 running backs, and it's like, whoa, well, we don't have a flex on this. How are you going to run? How are you going to get all 3 of the top running backs in there? Like, you know what I mean?
Wait, do you remember the jumbo package with the Brewers? I mean, they just threw anybody on the infield in any position. You were part of that.
I was
mean, you were
there.
there for that, right? You saw. They're like Keston here, Mike Moustakas, Jonathan Scope. Like, you guys can play anywhere in the infield. I know you can't, but you can. And they were shifting back then. That's probably what you're going to say. This is a different ball game. But wait, one more point here. Pete Alonso was criticized by the team internally, metrics-wise, for his defense. Jorge Polanco has been, I would say, maybe a tick below average defender on the infield. Who says he's going to be a stud at first base? I mean, he's never played it before. He might be fine, but he's never played it before. Like, it's not like you're replacing Pete with a defensive whiz.
You're not. You are not getting above average output defensively at first base if Jorge Polanco's in his first year. It is too intricate of a position. If I've said it once, I've said it 10 times on this show. First base is a hard position to get elite defensive value out of just because you move a athletic Jorge Polanco, you move an athletic Jake Cronenworth to first base. Like, to learn it and to be elite at it, which is what they're asking somebody to come in and fill in for Pete defensively, it's hard to do. You don't just do it. Just because you can get a first baseman's mitt doesn't mean everybody can play it.
Okay, let me get to the second layer here.
Let me ask you this. I understand, but Marcus Semien has had 2 down years in a row, okay? So you go out and you trade him for Nimmo, who's one of your best offensive players. Love him or hate him, he's one of their best offensive players. So he leaves me scratching my head. Then you go out and you lose Edwin Diaz. Then you go out and you lose Pete Alonso. And you replace him with the Jorge Polanco, again, who's a nice player, not great defensively, had a bad 24. Really, honestly, the reason people know his name is because of what he did in the postseason, right? So why go get him? And yes, you can stick him at first base, but what was the whole thing that Nimmo said the reason he got let go was? Run prevention, right? Run prevention. Jorge Polanco doesn't help your run prevention. He helps your run production. So it's like, again, it's like David Stearns. We love him to death, and Mets fans are kind of like, I don't know. But what's he doing? What's his plan here other than just like, I have to panic and sign somebody?
I think offensively, Jorge Polanco, the only thing I would go against you, AJ, is Jorge Polanco had a really good offensive year. I think he had his best ever OPS plus 132. You compare him to other guys. Offensively, he was more than just what he did in the playoffs. But exactly what you said is spot on. What are we doing? Are we getting Marcus Semien, even though his offense is down, but his defense is there, and he's going to be an upgrade over McNeil, over what, okay, now we're getting Jorge Polanco because there's a defensive upgrade. It'll be interesting to see how all of this plays out and all of it blends out, because I watched the thing about, simulating the Mets season right now. A lot of, not prognosticators, but analysts and analytical data says the Mets are still going to be good with the current roster, without this was before they have Jorge Polanco there. And I'm interested to see what happens if they build a team analytically and based on like theoretical numbers. I don't know. I'm not buying it yet. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, there's projections that have liked the Twins the last couple seasons, and we went really hard against that. And how did that go? So just something to keep in mind. Maybe later we'll get to what looks like a little bit of reasoning for why they broke up the band. But coming up next, let's get to more moves. There's a ton of moves, signings, trades. The Royals making some moves for some notable names. Rex Hudler, our boy, joining us next. And we're back, and Rex Hudler is here. Thanks for hanging with us, man. It is well worth the wait, I hope. Rex Hudler is all over the Royals broadcasts for years, former big leaguer, and just one of the best personalities in the sport. Rex, good to see you. I mean, we picked the right time to bring you on. Royals were moving and shaking the last few days. Did you tell them there's not a deadline? They can do this over the course of the offseason. Oh, wait, you're muted. Hold up. We got to hit a mute button.
I mean, that is part of Rex's appeal is definitely his face. So until he gets unmuted, we can just bask in his beauty. Yeah, if you
Hey, look,
take the AirPods out and maybe it'll do it again.
It.
Still nothing.
How about
Still
now?
nothing, Rexy.
This is Rex's by far best appearance on any television show.
For sure. Sexy Rexy,
really not my good
not
side,
Rex the mouth. We still don't hear you, Rex.
Okay. I don't know what to tell you guys.
All right. Looks like we might have a little.
Producer lady took the day
freeze
off today
frame
for Christmas.
Hey, we're back. Let's
1,
try.
2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
No.
They can't hear me, Dave.
No.
Still nothing.
They can't hear me.
We're gonna work on it.
We'll be back, Rex. Don't go doing anything crazy.
Yep.
Yes. Maybe the headphones. Maybe, but we'll see. Team behind the scenes is gonna work on it. Okay. Oh, he's heard on YouTube. That's actually a new one for us.
No, I know. I'm not on mute.
Oh.
Wait, now I hear him.
3. 1, 2, 3.
Yes,
now I hear
4, 5,
Rexy.
6.
Come on
1,
down,
2,
come
1,
on
2,
down.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
We got you.
1, 2, 1, 2,
Let's
1,
do
2.
this.
Recording. No,
Rex, do you hear us?
We hear him.
But does
He
he
doesn't
hear
hear
us?
us.
This is the most riveting.
No, I don't hear nothing. Nothing still.
No.
Sorry, guys.
Oh man.
We'll figure it out, Rexy. Our people get to your people.
I'm sorry. I hear you guys. I hear you.
Yeah, we hear you too. We got you,
Yeah.
Rex.
Hey, am I back?
Yeah,
You're
we're
back.
real now.
You're
We're
here.
real. This is real. This is a real interview. Yes.
I never left. Fellas,
Yes.
how we doing? AJ, what the heck, man? Way to go, dude. And I'm so happy to be a Brawny. Come on, man. You
Let's
kidding
go.
me? You guys are letting me on your show. I love it.
Rex, we're excited to see you, man. And I don't know if you heard my joke, but I was like, this isn't the NBA. There's not some 48-hour deadline. I love it for the Royals, but they're doing everything in 5 minutes here. So, I mean, can you run through the move analysis as quickly as they've been making the moves?
Absolutely. Look, this team is looking to win another World Series. They're the last small market to do it. Why not do it again 11 years later? They're close. They're making a few nice adjustments now. I like what J.J. Piccolo's doing. They're waiting for the big bat, though. Okay, that's the thing. They've acquired a couple of real nice outfielders. One's a young guy, one's a veteran in Lane Thomas. And the young kid that we just got, Isaac Collins, they like him a lot for what he can do. He's young, fourth in Rookie of the Year, plays mainly, they got him to play left field, but he also had some reps at third base and second base. So this is good. The Royals outfield for the last 2 years, fellas, no production. Zero. It's been really tough. Put a lot of pressure on the top 4 hitters. You got a premium leadoff hitter in Garcia, one of the best players in baseball, junior. Bobby Baseball is second place hitter. In the third spot's Pasquantino. He's become a guy now. Okay. Vinny's the guy. No more, well, I wonder what Vinny can do. We know what he can do. He's a run producer. He's a slugger. And they got the captains re-signed for 2 more years. So this Royals lineup is getting longer and longer, and that's what you need to win a title. And they've done it before. And like I said, JJ inherited the championship pedigree and the DNA from Dayton Moore. So he has an idea. He knows what they need. There's a couple of needs out there for him still, but still the outfield spot, let's stay tuned. They're not done there.
You said they needed that big bat. And they were connected with Santander. They didn't quite get it in before the Blue Jays did last year. Now that, you heard stuff like Teoscar Hernandez, tell me if I'm wrong. Are the Royals willing to change their DNA to get that big outfield bat? Because that DNA is you're going to have to run around all of Kauffman and you're going to have to cover all that ground in our outfield. Are they willing to change it and go, man, we just got no production? I don't care if you can't run around. We're going to have Jack Kaggs out there, who's kind of a bigger, not like the big Royal outfield defense. Are they willing to make that change to go for that big outfield bat that can't cover as much ground?
I think they're willing to give up a little bit of range in left field there for sure. But, Caglione, they said that he wouldn't be able to cover the ground in Kauffman Stadium. And that kid, he's a good athlete. I watched him play his entire year this year when he was at Kauffman and on the road, and he could play first base. We know that he's a good first baseman over there, big target to throw to, but his range and his first step quickness was impressive. So this kid, he's going to be a part of their next championship. There's no doubt about it. Now we'll see how he starts the season, whether they, depends on what they acquire here the rest of the way down in this off season and up to spring. But Cags will be a big part of it. No one's dethroned Isbell. Kyle Isbell, a center fielder. He's good every year, makes all the plays in center field, and you need that in our big ballpark. So, they can get away with a slugger in left field. I'm sure that won't be a problem. But this kid, Isaac Collins, he's going to be a nice what-if player. What if something happens in left field and they don't have a guy? Well, he could put that down. He had he had 9 homers and 54 ribbies in 130 games, and he's just a young player. So this kid, he changes scenery for him could be good, especially when he gets around all those other sluggers. So to answer your question, speed is going to be their game for sure. They love to attack. They love to put the ball in play. But this kid, Isaac Collins, he does that as well. He doesn't swing and miss very much. He puts the ball in play, and that's a Royals signature. And Kratzy, you were around when that happened, man. They pressured defenses with their speed. So, they'll be willing to give up a little ground in the outfield, but they're still not going to completely lose their DNA.
Well, now they're talking about Duran coming over.
You're not going to lose anything with that kid.
Right?
Man,
he would fit in nicely. Defense, speed, a little attitude for the Royals.
Man, I saw that. AJ, these kids nowadays that come up, man, it's amazing to see the skill level they have. This kid's blazing fast. He'll go first and third in a heartbeat. That's the Royals trade, attacking defenses. And he fits everything that the Royals are. And let's hope that works. They can't they want Reagans. They want our number one. You can't have him straight up. Nuh-uh. No. Reagans is the number one starter in the postseason. You can't give up that guy for him. They're going to have to package up a couple other guys. We got plenty of starting pitching for people. But this kid, I like him. I like his mindset. He attacks. He's aggressive. He swings the bat from the left side. And that's what they need, another left-handed bat in there to go with Salvi. Salvi and Junior and Garcia. Those are all right-handed bats. Put him in there in the middle of Pasquantino. That lines up, lengthen that lineup a little bit there. And to go along with that in the pen to win, are you kidding? They just picked up this kid that they got from the Brewers. They like him, and then so now you're talking about bringing in another right-handed pitcher for Lucas Erceg, who throws hard. He's a mid-90s, upper 90s pitcher, and then Carlos Estevez, who led the world in saves last year. So if the bullpen, if they can find any resemblance to the pen they had 11 years ago. Look, I like the Royals' chances this year in their own division and further.
Is there a place where this team needs to take away from that starting pitching? Like you said, Cole Reagans, yeah, you can't get rid of Cole Reagans. I get it. He had a hurt year last year, but he almost had 100 strikeouts in 60 innings. Like, you can't – can they take away more of this starting pitching? And I ask that because last year they gave – Brady Singer to the Reds for Jonathan India. And Jonathan India was on the bench and it didn't work out. Are they afraid of that happening again? Because they took away 32 starts. Brady Singer wasn't a Cy Young candidate last year. I get it. But 32 starts is 32 starts. Like, when you take that out of a rotation, are they willing to do that again because it didn't work out with the India trade from last year?
Yes, they are. Are you kidding? Time is close. With the Royals wanting to build a new ballpark in a few more years, this is the time where you win. You start drawing your fan base and start getting them excited again, and they already are. We've had 2 winning seasons in a row, which is big for Kansas City, but they already are. They want to win as they're moving into this new ballpark, and they're close. Why not? You have to give up something to get me something. So, yeah, they've got plenty of pitching. They've got 10 or 11 starters to draw from. I don't know if they'll draw from the older guys, like Lugo, Waka, those guys are already established, and they're probably looking for some of the younger guys like Cameron, who was brilliant last year, left-hander that could throw strikes. They've got a few options. So India didn't scare him away, obviously, because they gave him another year this year. They re-signed him. So, they have faith that he'll come back and have a bounce-back season. But to answer that question, no. You don't win unless you give up. You got to give up something to get something.
All right, Hud. Well, hopefully the new stadium gets done as long as Frank White doesn't vote against it. But we don't have time to get into that whole thing. All right. Yeah,
No,
I know. We don't
you.
have time. We don't have time to dig into that. That was a whole different story. But I want to know about Zerpa. I know they gave up Zerpa, but what was so great about him? Because the Brewers gave up 2 pretty good players for this guy, this lefty out of the bullpen. What does he do? And what are the Royals losing in him? Because he got them back 2 good players.
Rick Means is a pitcher that the Royals have been eyeballing for 2 or 3 years now when he was with the Rockies. This kid, he's 29 years old. He has above average fastball. He's going to fit right in there, like I said, with Urseg and Estevez at the end of their bullpen. But, you know, they needed a left-hander. They said, I mean, the Royals do. JJ, I just talked to him today. He said, Hud, we'd like a left-handed reliever. But I know we just gave one. Zerpa, you know, he had a hard time against righties last year. And, you know, that's what you want, a lefty to be able to get out the righties. I mean, they have a pretty good edge on the lefties anyway because of the left on left and breaking balls moving away from them. But they're going to have – the Royals will have to add a left-handed bullpen guy down the road. Zerpa, he's strong, and he's young. He throws hard. But, you know, obviously the Brewers liked him. You know, somebody sees something in a player that's in that organization they're willing to make a move. But I'm with you, AJ. I mean, Nick Mears, this kid that they just got, and the Isaac, those are 2 real nice pieces to their championship puzzle. So, yeah, we say thank you to the Brewers. But, look, trades are made for both teams. One, you're not trying to beat another team in a trade. You don't do that. That's not good business. You're always hopeful that both ends work out. And let's hope that it does in this case here. But the Royals will take the 2 guys they got for Zerpa.
You're a TV guy, Rex. I know you like a fancy little graphic. So last portion of the conversation here, I want you to do a little shopping for us. I know they've been doing a ton of it already for you, but kind of hinted to what you'd like to see here. If you want to throw a name out there, that's fine. If not, that's okay too. But just kind of finish the puzzle for Kansas City. I mean, we saw our guy Ken Rosenthal, part of this show, put out, hey, they're going to trade for an outfielder, they're going to sign one. They did that in 5 minutes. So what do you think's next, or what would you like to see if it was up to you?
Well, AJ hit the nail on the head. We need an action player. Okay, the kid Duran's got power too, besides the speed. I like the speed. His defense is a little shaky, and that's not normally a Royals trade. We always have gold. And speaking of gold, a left side of the infield in the major leagues with 2 Gold Glovers, call the cops. Garcia was nails. He made plays over there that would make Brooks Robinson ooh and ah. I mean to tell you, he's got a great arm, and his range. He's a shortstop, so you got 2 shortstops on the left side of the infield, and you've got a few left-handed starters. A lot of ground balls on that left side. You know what that equates to? Outs. That's all you're looking for, outs, no matter how you get them. Now, we got some strikeout guys, and that wastes the pitch counts. But, man, I like action pitchers who get those outs early. They stay in the game longer and get to the pin to win. Watch it. It's going to happen. Isbell in center field's awesome. Michael Massey won a Gold Glove in the minor leagues 3 years ago. He's shaking some injury bugs, and now he's a solid left-handed bat. He looks really good. And then Pasquatch has been the most improved first baseman I've ever seen. And when I was a player, I played next to gold, man. JT Snow won 6 or 7. Donnie Mattingly played. He won 8 or 9. I mean, so the infield and a Gold Glove first baseman caliber, that's important. Pasquatch is a big target, so that whole infield is close to gold. Salvador Perez behind the plate. He may be 36 years old. You can't tell it. He's the hardest working player in the game. He shows up early working on his blocks. He's asking the coaches, this guy's a Hall of Famer, a future. He's already a 5-time Gold Glover. He's asking them, how can I get better? Work with me. I'm important to our pitching staff. So with the attitude and the world championship pedigree of Salvador Perez, that infield might be the best infield in baseball.
I like it. Yeah. Tell us a little bit, let's finish with this, about how things changed for Maikel Garcia this past season. I mean, he was good 2 years ago, and you know this. The game has changed, right? You can project a little bit differently nowadays based on some metrics and peripherals that you see. And it doesn't always pan out that way, Rex. But when it does, like what you just saw from Michael Garcia this past season, and you use a stat like wins above replacement, he was top 15 among position players, right? The stat, which gets skewed per organization, they've got their own version of it. Some do. The stat said top 15 position player. So what did it look like, and what changed?
Confidence. He had a rough year the year before. Okay. They put him in the leadoff spot. They put him second. They tried to play. Well, actually, Junior's always had the second spot, but he didn't work out in the top of the order. They put him down. He just didn't have any confidence. He had a lot of ground balls, and he to the pull side. So he wasn't the player he was the year before that. So this year he comes in, and he goes off right away. They put him at the top of the order, and then they moved him down in the 9 hole, but he just said, it's my turn. I know I can play up here. I know I can hit up here. He understands that he'd love to play shortstop. Everybody would, but Bobby Witt Jr.'s got that spot locked down. So he went over to third base and said, I'm just going to play third base like I do shortstop. Everything to my left is not getting through. And you got Bobby Witt's range over there at shortstop. Hardly anything. You got to hit it hard to get it through that infield. Garcia coming in on plays. Little nubbers, little bunts. Nobody really bunts on him, but they hit those toppers. He comes in barehanded, makes that play as good or better than anyone I've ever seen. Tim Wallach, pretty good third baseman in my day. He's better than Eli coming in on that. It's because of his arm. That's one side. He wins you games on defense. Now his bat is a level bat. You love that. Stays in the zone a long time, and he goes line to line. You can't read him. You can't play him one particular way. Straight up for he and Bobby, and that's a beautiful duo, tandem team. Also, I credit the Royals for extending Garcia, but he gained his confidence back, and he became a guy too. So you had Vinny Pasquantino became a guy, Garcia became a guy, Junior's already a guy, and we're looking for a guy in left field, and we have a guy behind the plate. So I don't think I can brag anymore. And we've never had starting pitching going into the offseason like this in my 14 years here. And the bullpen's pretty much set as well. So it's exciting. Fans this offseason, when I go to Costco, I love talking to the fans. They're like, oh, are you excited? What a question. We got a chance to go all the way again. But look, it's a long season. We know that. And injuries, that's a big part of the game. No one knows that. That's why when they give you a call and they go, well, who do you think's going to win this year? Baseball's impossible to call. You can't predict the game. I remember in 2014, they went all the way to the World Series. They were picked to finish last, and they went all the way and lost in Game 7 to frickin' Bumgarner. Guy comes out of the bullpen after shutting down the Royals a day before or 2 days before, and he throws 4 innings. Really? They would have won that one. And then next year in 2015, all the great minds of the game of baseball, the experts, they predicted the Royals would finish last again. And what do? They went back-to-back. This time they won the World Series. You can't predict baseball. It's on paper. You could look at it and go, wow, this should be. But nobody can, because the round ball and the round bat dictate what's going to happen, and no one never knows nothing. So AJ, it's exciting. We are excited. AJ, what do you think about that analysis?
That's a promo cut right there, AJ. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. But wait, everybody, the Dodgers are going to win every game, Rex, and no one can beat the Yankees. But the sport is ruined, and the Chiefs missed the playoffs. So what? They need a good team in Kansas City. I know. Boo-hoo. Well, okay. All the Swifties are out there going, we can't watch Trailer's boyfriend play anymore. Right? So boo-hoo for Kansas City.
Yeah. No. Let me just share you. 14 and 15. Hey, look, that we're last small market team to do that. That's for sure. But that started it. And then look what happened the next 10 years. The Chiefs won the whole decade. Believe it. Look, you can't stay on top forever. Pretty nice run, though, you guys will have to say. Look, Mahomes got hurt. First time in 10 years, the best quarterback got hurt. So, yeah, they're due to start coming home a little bit. They got a spanking in last year's Super Bowl, and that started it. But look, Kansas City is the championship city. There's no question about it. So it's the Royals' turn to get back up on top again. You watch it. If barring any major injuries, it could happen because
It's
Salvador
Bobby
Perez.
baseball's time.
Oh man! But Salvi, he wants another title before he goes into the sunset, and then accepts his Hall of Fame in 5 years. He wants another one to give to the Royals fans. There's not a more dedicated young man than Salvador Perez. He carries the team on his back. This guy is an incredible human being. He loves his fan base. He goes out of the way for the fan base. You know, you guys saw where he pulled over one time, saw these kids playing wiffle ball, and he joined them in the backyard, made their life. This guy's amazing. So, you know, it's the Kansas City, they should be feared. And I'm sure they will. They will.
Hey, that's why we called you. First call of the day. Rex Hudler, you're the man, bringing the energy too, waking us up on a Monday. We love you, Rex. Great to chat.
Kratzy, you're beautiful, man. AJ, oh my gosh, I was broadcasting your season and your World Championship year. That was exciting.
I know, Rex. Rex, you're old. You're so old you broadcast my debut, I think.
I might have. Hey, but I got to tell you that Noah Cameron real quick reminds us all of Burley. Quickness, no, getting the ball and throwing it. Just
I know, I did. Let's take a step back, okay?
Let's temper it a little
bit. Let's see part two. Let's see part two. Let's see
year
two.
Right, let's take a step back.
If he takes off, Rex, we'll bring you back and we'll do 15 minutes on him. Okay, deal?
Love it. Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Merry Christmas.
Yes,
Merry Christmas,
Rex. Good to see
man.
you. The great Rex Hudler. Love you, man.
Thank you.
That was fun.
Recording in progress.
Turn it off. Would you hire me, Dave? Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
It was so long overdue, and I got to see the great, my buddy, Jim Bowden, our resident GM here on FT, and now we're back in our normal spots. But the winter meetings are over, and you should definitely check out the takeaways from JB in The Athletic. But, Jim, good to see you, and I want to start with a bang here. Where do you think we're at in terms of the trade market? I know you did many, little updates within your notes column about the winter meetings, but where do you think we're at? Like, where are a few names that you think could actually, like, this really could happen? And then a few names that you're seeing circulating where you're like, don't count on it.
Yes. So I think the interesting thing is, like, all the GMs were telling me that there was more trade talks at this winter meetings than any winter meetings they could remember. Like, that's how involved these guys were, like all 30 teams. So yeah, there's a lot of talk going on between these GMs. I mean, I think that, I said I thought he'd get done during the winter meetings. Brendan Donovan of the Cardinals, the number one trade asset the Chaim Bloom has. Katie Wu reported, who has been on this show, does a great job. She's now the beat writer for The Athletic for the Dodgers. But she wrote that the Mariners and the Giants right now are the front runners for Donovan. There are a lot of teams in on Brendan Donovan. Obviously, this is a Gold Glove infielder, can play second, third, left. He gets on base at a 35% clip. And there's a really good fit with Seattle. The Mariners have the farm system. They have the pieces that Chaim Bloom needs. So I kind of am viewing that as maybe the next shoe to drop. But look, there are so many discussions out there about so many players, and it's all real. Like, it's all been confirmed. I mean, and the thing that I really found interesting more than anything else is teams literally are listening on everybody. Like, it's not like the olden days where they would just, say, yeah, we'll take offers or whatever. They're really listening on star players. Like, very few teams have any quote unquote untouchables at this point. So Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Now, obviously it's intermingled with the free agent class. So sometimes some of the free agents have to sign or some of the players have to be traded for the other moves to make. But I think we're going to have a busy week before the Christmas holiday.
Okay, well, what are they waiting on, Jim? Like, they were all in the same room. They were all in the same, well, kind of sort of in the same hotel. Some of them had to walk down a long hallway to get, and they had to pass our show and say hi to Scott and I. But they're all in the same room in the same area. What are they waiting for to make these trades? To see if someone comes along that they hadn't talked to, maybe a 31st or a 32nd team, and say, hey, we got a better offer for you. What are they waiting for? Let's have these deals happen now.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just want to make sure you get the best deal you can. It's just like, sometimes let's talk about the free agent market for a minute. Dylan Cease gets the 7 years, $210 million, and now Framber Valdez and Ranger Suarez find out they're not getting that deal. So then they look at the market and they see what they're being offered. And then, they kind of got to decide, am I willing to take the best offer that's on the market, or should I consider doing a shorter term deal with an opt-out and go back in the market next year or the year after? What are my options? And then a lot of cases, it's the dominoes, right? It's like, once Michael King picks between the Red Sox, Orioles, and Yankees, then, if he picks the Orioles, then they're probably out on Valdez and Suarez. And so a lot of these players end up being connected, and whether it be trades or free agents, everybody has that whiteboard in their office where they've got their order of what they want to do, 1 to 12. And a lot of times I'm not going to go to number 2 unless I know I can't get number 1. So a lot of times they're just connected. So, it takes patience, and all of a sudden someone's going to wake up and they're going to want to pull the trigger. And whether that be a GM or a manager that gives you that extra year, or whether that's the team that's willing to throw in that last prospect to get a deal done, a lot of times it just takes that last minute movement. And I think you'll find that later in the week.
As this new CBA is coming up, do the players need to make sure there's some kind of trade deadline for the offseason so you're not hurting free agent players' values? Because you spend 6 years to become a free agent, and now teams are looking at the whiteboard and they're going, well, I can't get Dylan Cease, so I want Tarek Skubal, I want Sandy Alcantara, I want Edward Cabrera, and then I want Zach Gallen, and then I want. So is that something that the players should do to increase free agents' values?
I mean, look, I don't think there's any doubt. And I got a big kick out of agents at the winter meetings that were throwing the idea of, hey, we should have a December 10th trade deadline. Yeah, sure. If I'm an agent or a player, I want a trade deadline, because if I can freeze the trade market from December 10th to March 10th, then only way teams can improve is to get out their checkbooks and bid on free agents. You want to get better? You had your chance to make trades. You didn't do it. Now you have to bid for us. And the bidding would go up. So of course you're going to want that. From the club side, as a former GM, I don't want that trade deadline. And if we're going to have a deadline, it's got to be a free agent and a trade deadline at the same time. You got to put the players in that same class. And obviously that's not going to fly. And now, since I'm wearing the broadcast hat with you, AJ, and Erik and Scott, since we're all wearing that hat, there's nothing wrong with this dragging on through January. January would be really boring if we got all the trades and free agents done in December in our jobs. So I'm okay. Let it keep going in our jobs. I'm fine with it. Let's have 2 or 3 a week.
All right, Jim, enough of the trades, because they just always seem to take forever. There was a free agent signing that happened this past weekend that we discussed for a long time. Jorge Polanco to the Mets. Why do the Mets make this move, and where is he going to play, and what's his role going to be? Because they seem like they have a third baseman. They seem like they have a shortstop. They seem like they have a second baseman. Vientos is a player who they want to have DH or first base. So where does Polanco fit in on this team? I just don't understand what this move does to help them, other than just muddy the waters for Carlos Mendoza.
It makes no sense to me. And what they said was primarily first base and DH. He has played exactly 1 inning of 1 game at first base in his major league career. That's right, 1 inning of 1 game. And then I heard David Stearns made a comment saying, well, he can easily go over there and play first. Really? Have you asked that to Bryce Harper or to William Contreras or anybody else? Do you not understand the defensive value at first base on how they save the third baseman, the shortstop, and the second baseman? But to make matters worse, Why did you not make an offer to Pete Alonso? Supposedly because you weren't sure how he was going to age and you don't like him defensively at first base. Wait, what? But you like Polanco at first base, who's played one inning of one game over there? And by the way, Pete Alonso is elite at scooping and picks. He's elite at it. How many errors has he saved the third baseman, shortstop, and second baseman over the years in New York? Sure, he lets runs in. Sure, he has a lack of range. I get it. He also drives in 125. So if he lets in 15 or 20, he more than makes up for it. So now you're worried about age and decline. Do they realize that Polanco's going to be 33 this summer at the All-Star game? Do they realize he's going to be 34 the next year? Pete Alonso's 31. So you don't want to pay Alonso 31 to 35, but you're willing to pay Polanco 33 to 34 at $20 million per year? Are you kidding me? It makes zero sense. And look, I like Polanco. Don't get me wrong. He's a good player. His knees are healthy. I get it. But let's be realistic. You got rid of a 40 home run bat for a 20 home run bat. You got rid of 120 RBIs for 70 RBIs. That's what you did. Your offense just downgraded. And now with Juan Soto, why pitch to Juan Soto? You're paying him $765 million so opposing teams can walk him 150 times this year. You got rid of the lineup protector for Juan Soto because now you have Jorge Polanco as your DH. Ugh, head scratcher.
What did they do to this clubhouse? You've talked about production. What have they done to this clubhouse?
Erik, you nailed it. You know it. I went to Mets camp last year, and I came back, and on my MLB Network radio show, I said the Mets clubhouse is elite. I don't know if they have enough starting pitching to win, but the clubhouse is elite. And I mentioned 5 players. 5 players. I mentioned Brandon Nimmo, Pete Alonso, Diaz, Lindor, and Soto. Those 5 guys stood out. When I thought about good culture in the Mets clubhouse, it was those 5. Now, Nimmo, Alonso, Diaz are gone, and everything we're learning, and I do not have firsthand information, is that there was some kind of rift between Soto and Lindor. I'm not confirming it. All I'm saying is what baseball people have told me. Right or wrong, I don't know. But what in the world have you done to that culture? Now, granted, bringing in Brandon Simeon, he's a good makeup guy too, but he's 35 years old in decline. So, I'm just not sure I get what they're doing. They're getting older, and they're replacing an elite closer in Diaz with Devin Williams, who struggled the first half of the year last year. We're replacing Alonso with Polanco. Like I just don't. What we're doing is we're trying to win like we won in Milwaukee. And winning in Milwaukee works in a small market. This is a different job in New York. There's different pressures on players in New York. You guys both played. You totally understand what I'm talking about. And you're going to sit there and try to build a Milwaukee team in New York. I promise you, not going to work.
Okay, Jim, you answer my question. Is this David Stearns trying to be too cute? Is this David Stearns' reaction to Polanco signing? We lost Alonso, we lost Diaz. Let's make the Mets fans happy by signing somebody they've heard of because of the postseason, and he was pretty good and had a nice year, right? So is this David Stearns just trying what you just said? He's trying to do it the way Milwaukee way instead of just having the money and going out and getting the best players.
Yeah, and I've said this before. Being a GM in Milwaukee is different than being a GM in New York. Look, I got to work for the Yankees. I got to work for the Reds. I understand the difference in the markets. It's a totally different job. The job that Brian Cashman, David Stearns, and Andrew Friedman have now is completely different than running a smaller mid-market team. It only took Andrew Friedman, though, a year to figure that out. I don't think David Stearns has figured that out yet. He will, but you know why New York teams have superstars? You know why they pay the big money for superstars? Because superstars give you production predictability at a high rate. You want to go all young? You could pull it off in a small market. I did. You can do it. It can work. You want to try to do that in New York? No thanks. And look, I believe in Nolan McLean. I think he's the best starting pitcher they have. And I believe in Carson Benj. I think he's the answer in center field. I even think Jet Williams can be a good player. But if you think you're going to win in New York with young players alone, it's not going to happen. It's just not. And I'm sorry. So I don't get what they're doing. And look, they have time to pivot. David Stearns can shut me up tomorrow. Go to a podium and announce you've signed Kyle Tucker, Bo Bichette, and Michael King, and I will absolutely put my tail between the legs and tell everyone what a star I think he is, like I did when he ran the Milwaukee Brewers. But it's hard to like what he's doing right now in Queens. It's hard to like it or understand it.
Because they're a big market. And you mentioned the fact that the Dodgers have outclassed the big markets. Not even just the league. They've outspent the market. A team that's in the NL East with the Mets is the Phillies. A big market. A team that's not afraid to spend. With their recent Adolis Garcia signing, obviously Nick Castellanos could be most likely on the way out. Do you see a move like, obviously they need catching, but do you see a move like the Phillies that could move them back into the Dodger conversation in the sense that we're pushing all in, say like an Alex Bregman, who was rumored to have visited Philadelphia?
I mean, I think Bregman's a difference maker. Look, in terms of the Dodgers, they're not in a large market. They're in a massive market, right? The Los Angeles Dodgers CBT tax this past year was more money than 16 teams' major league payrolls. Just the tax alone. They're in a whole different planet. They've got a better farm system than anybody else. They spend more money in analytics, technology, and scouting than anyone else. And they have one of the smartest executives running them in Andrew Friedman, who knows what he's doing and, believe it or not, doesn't overspend for talent. He really doesn't. He just has great resources, can do what he wants. And by the way, Ohtani's $700 million is already paid for. They're just printing money at a ridiculous level. So the Dodgers really are at a spot where I don't want to compare them to anybody else. And by the way, you know, the Brewers won more games in the regular season than they did. So they can still be beat. But I think in terms of the Phillies, do I think a Bregman or a Bichette signing to play third base is a difference maker for them? Yeah, sure, I do. If they can go get a left fielder, if they can go get Bellinger and Bregman, sure. I mean, look, they've got the starting pitching. They've got the reliever. They've got the manager. They've got the player leadership in Schwarber and Harper. You know, and you mentioned Adolis Garcia. Look, he's been in decline, but he's 32 years old, right? He's been in Texas a long time. He's still a good defender. He still has a good arm. He still has power. Now, the question that I have is, he's got Kevin Long now. Can Kevin Long get him back on track? Can Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper help him get back on track? He's only 32. He's a relatively smart guy, and he finally has an elite hitting coach. He finally has elite teammates that know how to help guys. You know, could he be a comeback player for $10 million next year? Maybe. I mean, it didn't look like it. It looks like he's in decline, but I kind of like the fit. I like the chance. And to your point, yeah, Nick Castellanos needs to be released. They need to move on for him. And yes, they'll be spending $30 million between Garcia and Castellanos this coming season.
All right, I got to go back to the Dodgers and what you said about the Dodgers. How much did you say they spent more money on the luxury tax than some teams' payroll? Or
16 teams' payroll. Their CBT tax this year is more money than 16 teams' major league payrolls. Yes.
Okay. Do you think the owners care? Because you know what they have, Jim? They have back-to-back World Series championship rings, and they have the money. So I always say that if you win a World Series, and God forbid you win 2 in a row, all that money goes out the window because you're making so much money off Shohei, so much money off Yamamoto, so much money off Mookie Betts, so much money off Freddie Freeman that they don't care. That's the thing that I don't know that owners understand is that if you actually win and you actually win a World Series, it makes it all worth it. I don't care what you have to spend. Now, it's easier said than done to win that World Series, but that money, I know that's an amazing stat we just threw out there. Dodgers fans, Dodgers owners, nobody associated with the Dodgers gives 2 craps about how much money they spent because they have 2 rings.
Yeah, well, they have the revenue to do it, though, too. They're making money. They're printing it. They've got.
No, they're not. They're not as making. Jim, didn't you hear Hal Steinbrenner the other day? They're not making as much as you think they're making. Okay,
the Dodgers
it's
aren't,
all.
The Yankees aren't. The Mets aren't, but the Dodgers are. They absolutely are printing way more money than anybody else. The New York teams aren't even in the same ballpark, and they're being run by guys that really know what they're doing, and they care about humans and character and makeup, and they only bring in good people. That's what they do, and talent. And yes, they'll spend to the highest paid players, but when they spend, they don't spend more than what the market is for these guys. Even the manager, Dave Roberts, yes, he's being paid a little more than Craig Counsell. Not much more. Enough to make him the highest paid, which he should be on his way to the Hall of Fame. But, you know, I say this because I know Pirate fans, for example, they'll get upset and go, well, it's not fair. I mean, you know, the bottom 15 markets have not won a World Series in a decade. Yeah, I get it. But I tell people as fans, you don't have to be a Pirate fan. You can retire as a Pirate fan or trade yourself to the Dodgers. If you want to see your team win, right now, the Dodgers have the best chance to win a World Series again this year. So if you want to win, you as a fan, you can go to any team you want. You don't have to root for the team that's your home city. And you can see the Dodgers come play in your home city. They'll come into Pittsburgh and beat you. So, look, if it bothers you that much, just become a Dodger fan. It's fine.
Hey, JB, I want to go on the opposite end of the spectrum here with the conversation. So I've been going back and forth with some fans online, which is, always a good move, about the Pirates. Okay. We spoke about them during the winter meetings and how it was cute that they sent out an offer that was actually below what most did. And there's fans online like, hey, give them credit. They made an offer, might have been related to ownership or front office, something like that. Even Ken on our show was like, hey, that was real. That was something for them to show the market that they have some cash to spend. I think you're on the other side of this. I'm on the other side of this. So I'll let you cook, but then also get me to the finish line of what they're actually going to do and not just whisper in a free agent's ear and say, hey, we're 20 million under, but we're going to report that we sent this out. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, look, Scott, their offers to both Josh Naylor and Kyle Schwarber were under what they signed for. Now, keep in mind, if you're a small market team and you're trying to get a free agent, you are never going to get a free agent at the same price the contending team's going to get them for. If you're a player and you had a choice between signing back with the Phillies or signing with Pittsburgh, what is Kyle Schwarber going to do, right? I mean, it's pretty easy what he's going to do. I'm going to go back to Philadelphia. I'm comfortable there. I've won there. We're a contending team. You're not. So how do you in a small market get a player? You offer more years and more money and by a lot. How did the Nationals get Jason Worth? They overpaid him. More years, more money, a ridiculous number. Jason Worth left Philadelphia to go to Washington, right? How in the world did the Tigers end up getting Magliardonius and Pudge Rodriguez? They overpaid for them back then. And by the way, both of those teams ended up going to the World Series. You have to have players, but in a small market, if you want Josh Naylor, you can't offer what Seattle's offering. You have to offer more. You want Kyle Schwarber, you should have offered 7 years, $210 million and overpay. Would it have ended well? No. But that's how you get on the map. And once you get one, once you get two, now all of a sudden you start to win and people will follow. The funny part about the Pirates is they have a starting rotation that can get them to be competitive in that division. They actually could be a contender if they can get offense. But if you want to do it, you got to make offers bigger than what the market is and not even close. All right, now what can they do? Because that's much more constructive. Ryan O'Hearn, Eugenio Suarez. 2 examples. 2 bats, add some offense, 50 home runs to the lineup. Try to win, with your pitching and defense. Let Connor Griffin make this team on opening day. Let him be in the run for Rookie of the Year, and let him light everything up. But yeah, look, if you're not going to get the big boys, which it's tough to do, right? It's tough to get the top free agents to go to Pittsburgh right now. You're not good enough. You're just not. But that being said, that next tier or the tier after that, you could certainly improve the offense of this team. We know they can pitch. So let's get some bats. I think O'Hearn and Suarez are 2 realistic guys they could get in free agency right now, which would improve their chances of contending.
Okay, before we let you go, I'd be remiss, since I'm not going to see you before the college football playoffs start, okay? You mentioned teams, fans switching teams. First of all, your son is the GM for USC. The one win Notre Dame had this year was against USC. So as a USC fan and as a non-Notre Dame fan, you should be on this show right now telling all these poor, whiny baby Notre Dame fans that I know, boo-hoo, boo-hoo, that they could switch their allegiance from Notre Dame to another school. And most people would be happy for them, because then I wouldn't have to listen to all these Notre Dame people bitch and moan about how they got screwed out of the playoffs when the 2 teams they played all year that were in the playoffs they lost to, and USC is the one team they claim to beat. So here's your chance to tell all those Notre Dame fans to come on over to USC.
Yeah, every Notre Dame fan, you should come to USC. I'm a big Marcus Freeman fan. I love him. I think Notre Dame should align themselves with a conference. I think being independent hurts them. I understand the tradition, but I think you got to get in one of these conferences. I do think you guys got screwed, but I think you all should become USC fans. I think AJ's absolutely right.
Yeah, and I'll add on here, JB. They've been independent for years. The difference is they don't have a Bowden. They don't have a Bowden right now. They're missing a Bowden. That's part of the problem. Yep. JB, good to see you. We will talk to you. Yes, you too. Happy holidays. We will talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Peace.
It's the White Sox offseason to-do list. And you know what? I'm going to step aside here because this might be the last segment that AJ Pierzynski does in 2025. He's heading out for a little bit. So AJ, anyone that's watching this or listening to this later on does not want to hear another word from me. So you're the host. Go ahead.
Well, I can't wait to hear Garfinkel's, first of all, his 3 things that he's going to give us. Second of all, there's really only one thing they need to do, Chuck. Spend some damn money and get better players. That's it. Go out on the free agent market and spend some money. You can give your list, but until they start with that, you're going to say, find a starter, find a reliever, find a bullpen, find a this, and find a that. But you know what those all involve, Chuck? Spending some money. So let's spend some money, White Sox fans. Let's go. It's not our money. It's Uncle Jerry's. So go, Garfien.
Thanks for that introduction there, AJ. I appreciate it. You're the only person who calls me Garfinkel, by the way, which means a lot. It's a badge of honor. Thank you. I think they will be spending money. There will be money that will be spent this offseason, but also the big money that you're talking about, I think that's maybe a year or 2 down the road. That's just my hunch. Here's what the White Sox need, and we can then break it all down. Starting pitching, they need innings. They were last in the majors in innings pitched by starters last season, and that put a lot of pressure on their bullpen. Speaking of the bullpen, they were last in saves. They didn't really have a closer. They had like 8 different guys who got saves. There was Jordan Leisure. There was Grant Taylor. They definitely took the next steps for them individually, but I'd like to see them get maybe someone who's got some experience there, because you throw those 2 things together, you lost a lot of 1-run games. They were, I believe, 15-36 in 1-run games. That's one thing they're talking about. They want to improve that. So if you improve the bullpen and get another starter or 2, that's going to help. And then they need a corner outfielder or 2. Right now, their outfield consists of Luis Robert Jr., Andrew Benintendi, Everson Pereira, Derek Hill, Brooks Baldwin. They could use some guys. So I think those are the 3 main things the White Sox need to do, and then spend all the money that AJ Pierzynski wants you to spend.
Okay, so the White Sox need pitching and hitters. That's a cool baseball strategy. I like that. But let's go to the start. Let's go to the start of your first comment there about starting rotation. The fact that they didn't have any innings, is this something that can actually be addressed? Because the organization, some of their top starting pitching prospects don't throw past the 5th inning. So is this something that they do actually even care about if you're not even teaching the guys who you're building up through your organization, which Chris Getz did? He was part of the player development. He set this tone of, well, nobody ever throws past 5 innings, so we don't need you to in the minor leagues. Or is this something that's like just going to magically appear and some dudes are going to start throwing 6-7 innings to not have a repeat of last year?
All right. Well, there was a reason why guys were not throwing as much as you would have liked, because they didn't really have the track record. You had Shane Smith, who was a Rule 5 pick, who did not have many innings underneath him going into last season, so they didn't want him to go 7-8 innings at a time. They were trying to save his arm. Same with Sean Burke, Davis Martin, who had been coming off Tommy John surgery. And then you have Hagen Smith and Noah Schultz, who had dealt with some issues with their health last season, so they didn't want them to go 7-8 innings as well. They were watching their innings for their future, trying to save their arm and their bodies. So that's kind of how things wrapped up. I think they would prefer their starters to go longer than they did. It just didn't happen that way. And then they had Martin Perez. He was supposed to be that innings eater for them. And sure enough, he gets hurt in April. He missed almost all of the season. He's still a free agent right now. Maybe he could come back potentially. There's some interest there, but we'll see if that actually comes to fruition. So, you could have plans and plans and plans, and then life takes on a life of its own. The baseball season takes on a life of its own. That's kind of what happened with the Sox last year.
Is that it, Chuck? That's what happened? Baseball happened? And that's why. But they did improve by almost 20 games. So baseball happened.
Hey, can I just say something to all you doubters and all you critics about the White Sox like you, AJ Pierzynski? Can I add something here? Sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead. Because I'm I'm like one of the biggest fans. I'm one of the few people on national media that actually talk good about the White Sox. So continue.
Okay. Who scored more runs after the All-Star break? Was it the Dodgers?
Who cares? Oh, my gosh.
I care. Dodgers?
Who won the World Series, Chuck? Who won the World Series and who lost 100 games?
We were coming off the worst season in the history of baseball. Our goals last year were not exactly, let's go to the World Series and win it. Okay? And when I say we, I say they. I don't work for the White. Well, I kind of work for the White Sox.
No, you do work for the White Sox.
Okay. White Sox, Dodgers, Tigers, Cubs. Who had more runs after the All-Star break?
No, it's the White Sox. We know, Chuck. Everyone knows this answer because you posted.
No, they don't know the answer.
Media. Yes, they do because everyone follows you. Listen, they won the World Series in the second half. Okay, that's great. Way to go! Woohoo! Okay. We have some cool young players. But do you know how young players get better? And you're talking about the starting rotation and the bullpen. You got to bring in somebody that has some experience. You can't let what happened. If you want Shane Smith and you want all these other guys to get better, Davis Martin and all these other guys to get better and continue to grow, you got to bring in some bullpen help that can help them, and you got to bring in some veteran guys. So you got to find these guys, Anthony Kay and these guys, right? You got to find some veteran guys. So who do they go out and get? They're not feeding at the top of the free agent pool. So who are some of the guys they can target a little bit lower?
I got some names for you. I'm looking at innings. They don't have a really Hagen Smith and Noah Schultz are left-handed, but I don't think they're going to break camp with the team. I'm not expecting that to happen. How about Patrick Corbin? He threw 155 innings last season, had a better season last year than he did the 3 previous years. I like Adrian Hauser. I like Michael Lorenzen, who's got some history with the new pitching coach for the White Sox, Zach Bove with the Royals. I think those are 3 names that I would be targeting right now. What do you guys think?
Sure, Chuck. Absolutely. Sure. I mean, yes. Sign them all. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Sign them all. But what about
I don't think signing them all. I think what you asked for is the innings.
Yes.
And then how does it fit? How does it fit with the guys? It's the guy. Yes, I love the. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on who you just said.
Hauser, Lorenzen, Corbin.
Lorenzen. I love the Lorenzen, and I love the Corbin one because what does Corbin do? Corbin takes the ball. You have taught your minor league guys, whether they were injured or they weren't injured, or Shane Smith was a Rule 5 or not, you have to learn to be a certain type of player. And if you don't have somebody to look to, all you're doing is just talking about stories. Patrick Corbin got absolutely waffled with the Nats. You know what he did, though? He made all 32 starts. So if you bring up guys who have never done it, I love the example picks that you said. I love that. I think that's what changes an organization. But I'm afraid some teams, and I don't know the White Sox as well as AJ would love to think I know the White Sox, but I think that's how you end up growing an organization that ends up winning one day, because it's not happening right now, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they have money to spend. I don't know how much it's going to be, but I think they can play in those waters for sure for either of those 3 guys.
Okay. So hit the corner outfielders. Hit the corner outfielders for this vaunted second half offense that you just alluded to or enlightened the entire national baseball audience about. Where do these corner outfielders fit in, but also how do they fit into the scope of the future of the White Sox? Or else you're just becoming an organization that just plays year to year to year.
Oh, they're trying to build something. And the reason why I bring up the second half is just because I looked at last year as two different seasons. The first half, they were like almost a carryover to the season prior, which no one wanted to see. But then, middle of the year, you had guys coming up like Colson Montgomery, Chase Meidroth, Kyle Teal, and you just saw a different offense, and you saw actually a different Luis Robert Jr. until he got hurt. And so we'll see if he's going to be a part of this team next year. But Braden Montgomery is one of their top prospects. He will be here, I think, at some point next year. That could be your right fielder when he comes up. So I'm looking at corner outfielders who are available. I did like Adolis Garcia until he signed with the Phillies, but I was thinking, some team that's looking to compete is going to probably sign him, and he's probably want to go to that kind of team anyway. So I didn't think it was the best match. Austin Hayes. What do you think about Austin Hayes? He can play left. He can play right. He played with Ryan Fuller with the Orioles when they were both. Ryan Fuller is the director of hitting for the White Sox. He had a 105 OPS plus with the Reds. He's been in the playoffs 3 different times. I think he'd be a good fit for the White Sox. I like that matchup for them. And then, they could also be looking for Ryan O'Hearn, who's more of a first baseman. He can maybe play some right field to start things off, then move over to first. I like him as a fit for the White Sox as well. That's not exactly a corner outfielder, but those are 2 names that I'm kind of looking at right now for the Sox.
Chuck. I love you.
You know what this is?
I love
this
you, Chuck, but it's just
mutual respect and love.
Chuck,
and
I love you to death. I really do. You're our Chuck. I get all that, but it's like for me as a White Sox fan, like I want him to play in the big boy waters at some point, man. Like, no offense to the guys you're naming, but gosh darn it, like I remember we used to talk about Torrey Hunter and Bryce Harper and Manny Machado, and now we're talking about guys. No offense, but they're not in the same level of.
Okay, so who should the White Sox sign?
You asked me, and you go, your exact question. You framed this headline horribly wrong, by the way. You said, "Do you think the White Sox should sign Kyle Schwarber?" And I said, absolutely, because they need veteran guy to come in and start this rebuild with Teal and Montgomery and Meidroth and all these guys, right? And then he went and signed with the Phillies. But you have to overpay, and we all know the White Sox aren't going to overpay, right? So at some point, it's just like we had Jim Bowden on, and he said when they made an offer to Schwarber, the Pirates, they had to overpay, right? Mm-hmm. Well, if you look, and I hate this, it pains me to death. You ask players, they've all been asked. The teams no one wants to play for. A's, White Sox are always right there. It's 1 and 2, right? So you got to do something to change the perception, Chuck. And I don't know what that is. You got to win, right? And I love the young players, Teal, Kiro, you keep naming them, blah, 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 right down the list, right? But every year that goes by, you lose a year of control of these guys. And at some point, you're actually going to have to say, this is our core. We're going to add to this core, not let's draft some more guys and let's trade for some more guys. And if you ask Jim Bowden what he just said, if you're in a big market, and you could say what you want about the White Sox, but Chicago is a big market team, okay? You have to go out and get stars because that helps you win on a consistent basis. Not hoping and praying that all 20 of your prospects all turn out to be great players. You're going to have to go out and play in the big boy pool.
The guy I wanted, hands down, going into this free agency period was Kyle Schwarber. There was your perfect fit for the White Sox, but again, you would have had to have paid, to get him away from the Phillies. What are we talking? $180 million for 3 years? Or I don't even know what the number are for 5 years. It would have been astronomical. And is that the right way to be spending your money with the White Sox? I can see why they didn't go down that road. But, after him, outfielders, I thought I came up with a couple of good names there, but you don't like them. That's okay. I'm not the general manager.
I didn't like them. I didn't say I didn't like him, but why are you giving Luis Robert $20 million a year? Like, he should have been traded last year. Boom, see ya. Right? Let someone else have to make that decision. Don't keep him, and then you say we're going to spend money, and they're like, but we gave Luis Robert $20 million, right? Like,
if you don't have Luis Robert Jr. in a team, who's your center fielder? That's the other thing. Like,
you go find somebody for less than $20 million from what you're saying, from what you just said, then you go find someone else, and you already have saved $20 million on your payroll, right? Luis Robert can be a great player. The problem is Luis Robert can't stay healthy. Okay,
that's what you say. That's what I say. And yet you see these reports, and all these teams still want him. They all
trade him. Okay, if they all want him,
maybe it's going to happen.
And trade him.
They might.
I'm just saying, if all these teams want him, then you trade him. You haven't been able to get the best out of him. And everyone doesn't want to be, we traded Luis Robert away, blah, 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 whatever. But you haven't been able to do it in, 5-6 years now? And you give him away and get something back and move on.
I was talking to Scott Boras at the winter meetings, and he said that, he's now a Boras client, and he said something with his swing. He did something, and he's got better plate discipline. This is back in like August, and he had a great end of his season, and now he's actually training at the Boras Academy, and they're working on like how can he stay healthy, and maybe it's all in hypotheticals. Maybe he finally has that year like he had in 2023 when he looked like one of the best players in baseball, because the last 2 seasons have not been great for Luis Robert Jr. Other teams seem willing to make that bet on him, as do the White Sox. It's a big question mark what's going to happen with him this offseason and when the season begins and how he plays.
While you guys have been chatting, and I purposely took myself out of this, I don't like to play this game too often. I'm going to be super unrealistic, but you're like, what would you want? Okay. If the White Sox added Kyle Tucker, Bo Bichette, and Tatsuya Imai, right? Just throwing out like a potential number one and the 2-star position players, right? They maybe be a playoff contender. I think they would be a playoff contender. That's adding maybe 10, 12 wins to a team, right? Maybe more. That would up their payroll to about $80 million next year. The luxury tax number, which is a soft salary cap's 245-ish, I think. Not even close. It's just crazy. Like 180 is not like a crazy number in our sport today. So I just didn't realize they're at 80. So they have room to spend. That's all.
Yeah.
I'm saying they have room to spend.
Listen, I think I've got the year right. I think in 2022, they had a payroll over $180 million. The problem was how they spent the money, who they spent it on. And here we are all these years later. And I think the White Sox lost a lot of money. When you have high payrolls and you have teams losing 100 games. Look at the year that they lost 121 games. They had, if not the highest payroll in the American League Central, it was right below the Twins, like at $120 million. And they lost 121 games. That's not good for the bottom line. And that is, I don't know for 100% certain that's where the White Sox are right now. But it's not as simple as, spend money, fix problem. I'd like to think it is for all teams, but it probably isn't. And, I'm not privy to the financials. I just look at wins, payroll, attendance, and those three have not put the White Sox in the best of shape financially to go out and compete with the Phillies for Kyle Schwarber.
Right. That's fair on Schwarber. I'm just saying, like, and I wouldn't have gone that route. I go the other route. Schwarber's 33, right? I'm trying to sign the young star free agent. The 2 guys I brought up are much, much younger, right? So I'm like, where's my Jason Worth for the White Sox organization? It's certainly possible. If they sign their Jason Worth this offseason for $30 million a year, their payroll would be 110. I think that's still less than the Twins.
Yeah. I think if the Sox start winning and more people come to the ballpark, more money will be spent. I think that's just business right there. But
no doubt. But it's the reverse. That's the thing, right? It's the reverse.
You can also spend money on the player, get more wins, get more fans. No, I see it, but I'm also like, they're in a rebuild, and you don't want to be necessarily blocking guys who could potentially be a part of your rebuild, so you can fix a temporary problem with a player like a Kyle Tucker, who obviously I would love to have Kyle Tucker on the White Sox. Don't get me wrong. He can
block anyone, Chuck. Kyle can block anyone. I don't give a crap. He can block anyone, right? I think everyone would be fair with it. I get what you're saying. You don't want to block prospects. That's fine. But there's room, right? It's not like it's one hole to fill. I know some of this stuff sounds unrealistic, but I feel like we've gone so far the other way where we're bargain bin shopping. And this is just me trying to rationally speak to what AJ is thinking right now as I sit next to him very often. AJ, am I on the money?
No, you're right. You're right. I listen, I want the White Sox to be good. I want to have pride when people say I'm a White Sox fan. And every question I get is, why do they stink? It's just, and I have to defend them with, they have all these prospects coming, right? And I can rattle them all off, right? And then I look and see.
And there's no guarantee they're going to turn out.
Exactly.
Correct.
So, Yoel Moncada was supposed to be the greatest thing. Eloy Jimenez, right? Luis Robert, that whole crew didn't work. So now they got to try again. It's like it's just a constant rebuild, and I'm tired of it. So sorry.
Well, listen, I mean, I've been at winter meetings and covered off seasons where the White Sox spent. They didn't go all the way to get Machado and Harper, but they beat out teams for Yasmani Grandal, and they beat out teams for Andrew Benintendi. And they probably overpaid for both of those guys, right, to get them. So they have spent in the past, in the not so distant past. But, I am like you, AJ. I look forward to the days when they can compete for these top of the line players. I mean, they used to do this. It'll be in their future, I hope. But right now, from what I've been told, they're not doing that. So this is what I'm reporting and predicting for them to do this offseason.
And Chuck, you're a good sport. And on the way out here, I will say this, and I mean this sincerely. Best part right now of the White Sox and the product that I watch is pre and post. And it's actually less a knock on the White Sox and more how much I praise what you and Ozzy and the crew do, because it's freaking entertaining. And it is not easy to do that. I've called games when the teams are not good. They stink and you need to entertain. People are still watching you and you're the soundtrack of the summer. So we love what you guys do. And we appreciate that you guys have like the freedom to just go wherever you want to go, right? The winding road of Ozzy Guillen on a post-game show is very entertaining. So good to see you, man. And happy holidays.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate it. I always love coming on your show. It's a great show. It's you guys have filled the space that's needed, and it is great to do that show with Ozzy Guillen. We love doing it, and we're just trying to give people some truth and some entertainment and some baseball in there too.
You're doing it. You're keeping AJ like a little bit on the rails after the games. So thank you, Chuck. You're the man.
All right. Happy holidays. Have a great vacation, AJ. Talk to you guys later.
Thanks, Chuck.
Talk to you soon.
All right.
We're actually just going to start Hot Corner by saying bye to AJ, and then we're going to rip through a ton of signings and trades. AJ, any last words of wisdom in 2025 and what you're looking forward to?
What a great 2025 we had here on Foul Territory. Thank you to everybody behind the scenes. Thank you to everybody on camera. Kratz, especially you. Scott, happy Hanukkah. Other than that, I'm not really sure what else is going on. I hope you guys have a great time. Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. Happy birthday to me while I'm gone. And everyone else out there, be safe. Please think about others. This is the time when you're supposed to think about others and give joy to others and try to be happy with other people. So please do that. Everyone be safe out there. We'll see you after the new year. What a year. It's only going to get better. The FT network is going to continue to grow. So Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and happy birthday to me.
How many shows will we have by the end of 2026?
I hope we have at least 32.
Oh, you want to hit all the teams, you're saying?
Would that be 30 Foul Territory, Fair Territory? Oh, and Baseball Americas, that's 33. Sorry. So 33 I hope we have by the end of the year.
Right now, the count that I go off of is 22. And that's with 15 team shows still left to fill up. So I like it. All right, AJ. Yeah.
Love you guys and girls
you,
and people behind the scenes and on camera. Love you guys. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Love you guys.
Safe
See you
travels.
next year, AJ.
Yes. All right, here we go. Okay, Kratz, you and me, speed round, tons of moves from the weekend. Okay. Are you ready? Game face on?
I think so.
Okay. And if there are questions as we go, you need to ask them fast because then I will move on to the next move. But we'll start with one that's pretty big on the money trail. 2 years, $40 million. Merrill Kelly, Ken Rosenthal reported that he had an offer for 3 years, 50 plus from a West Coast team he heard, but he did the math and said it's probably a team in California. Merrill wanted to go back to Arizona. He was vocal about that. If they were able to find a way to get him in a range that he was good with, plus Ken mentioned this, cost of living, taxes, whatever, you start to do the math. Arizona was the fit. Merrill Kelly helps a rotation that desperately needed to replenish itself with someone who just was traded away.
Yeah, I mean, you can't not like this signing. I think Merrill Kelly and the Diamondbacks, especially towards the end of his career. I love the fact that he will most likely finish his career here. I love the fact that he doesn't need to go somewhere else to prove, hey, this is what I did in Arizona. And I felt like he made a few tweaks in the last, I would say, 3/4 of this past season that I think kind of took him to the next level, when at his age, people will kind of say, you know what, he's probably going to decline a little bit. I love the fact that he revamped his career, came back over here after pitching in Japan, and has had success with the Diamondbacks. And I think this 2-year deal, while it wasn't a slam dunk because clearly he had big offers from elsewhere, I felt like it was pretty much like, this is the guy. If you were going to say Zach Gallen or Merrill Kelly coming back, I felt like Merrill Kelly was by far a better chance of coming back. And I think the Diamondbacks are still a good team, even when you hear Ketel Marte could be traded. And if he is traded, I think they still fill in with a Jordan Lawler. So I love that they still solidified your 32 starts a year, and $20 million a year for a starter that's qualified, easy money.
Yeah, he doesn't throw hard, right? I mean, he's low 90s with the fastball velo. He actually gets a lot of chase for what he brings to the table. I mean, he's unpredictable, and I think the world saw what he was about in the World Series, or just in the playoff run for them, I should say, in 2023, and he's really carried the success. You're right. I mean, he ain't young, but he's still got it. And he was actually throwing a little harder, I think, halfway through the year and carried that out. But man, he had a great year. I mean, he hits his spots.
The chase is the part that I think has increased for him, because he throws that little, he's a guy that goes, 92 cut, 92 sink, 92 cut. Now he's been able to get that extra tick with velocity, but now you don't know if that extra spin is going to be that cutter, or if it's going to, something that's going to break farther off, and that's where he gets that chase, because you're not getting stuff middle from him. It's edges, and then he expands off those edges. He does a great job of tunneling without it being 99 hammer off of that. He's really come into his own, which you expect veteran pitchers to do. And I think I like this signing for the Diamondbacks.
Many more money signings to go. One quick break.
For all the parents out there with teenagers like Kratz, we know life's a little crazy.
Yeah, Cash App's here to not add to the craziness. They're here to help.
Yeah, Kratz, Cash App is designed to meet teens aged 13 to 17 where they are, with intuitive educational tools. Available through sponsorship by an eligible parent or guardian, teens gain access to a personalized Cash App card. With the Cash App card, you and your teen's balances receive 24/7 fraud monitoring, and if something ever feels off, you have the ability to lock their card right from your phone in just one tap. Download Cash App and get started today. For a limited time, new Cash App customers can earn $10 if they use code FAMILY10 in their profile at sign up, and send $5 to a friend within 14 days. Terms apply. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Direct deposit and promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. All right, next up, the Detroit Tigers added Kyle Finnegan the other day, and now, not added, they brought him back, right? They traded for him at the deadline. He was pretty good for them. He upped the splitter usage. We talked about that the other day. Now add Kenley Jansen to the mix in his chase for 500 career saves, and also to be part of a team that should be in the playoff hunt. 1 year, $11 million club option for 2027. I actually was surprised about the club option part, just because it's Kenley, and I think he does want to end up back on the West Coast, and he's looking for the best deal in the best situation right now. But they actually can get him for 2 years. If he puts together what he did this past season, they'll probably keep him.
Yeah, and you're not getting Kenley of the 2010s, but you are getting Kenley, the closer, and that role is solidified. Kenley Jansen wants to get to his 500. That's what you said, right? 500 saves? Yeah, it's 476 right now. He wants to get there. 24 saves after having 29 last year. Like, he knows he needs to be on a team that wins, and I think he knows that the Tigers can win. He's going to strike out about 1 per inning. So you like that number. Obviously, the Tigers do need more strikeouts, but when you have a solidified closer, somebody who's going to be in the closer role, it pushes everybody back a little bit. And I think it helps because you have for the most part, a pretty young bullpen. Now, Tommy Kahnle's gone. Kyle Finnegan's not that young, but you brought him back because you loved the doubling of his splitter usage, which they did coming over from Washington. To me, this helps any of those young guys because they're going to have to continue to call on guys from their minor league system and guys that are currently in that bullpen because they haven't been able to dip in the water. I like this signing. He closes the game for you. There's very few actual closers still out there. There's guys who take the high leverage innings, but this is a closer, and he's going to want that situation. A 2.59 ERA. I like it. I'm on board with this. I'm on board with this for this team, and I think he'll have a little bit more success too. Larger field, the defense is there for them, so it is there for him because he's not just 100 strikeouts in 60 innings type of pitcher anymore.
Yeah, I mean, ERA is not the best stat for a reliever all the time, but 2.5 ERA plus was 165. Like the run prevention from him results were great. Yeah, he's not K Kenley anymore. He's Command Kenley. That's the thing. I mean, he's cut the walks down and the strikeouts go down, but he's finding other ways to get outs. That's what you do, and that's how you mature as a pitcher and stay in the league.
He's closer Kenley. I don't know that he's necessarily Command Kenley. He's closer Kenley. And ERA plus for closers, you have to take that as there's very few metrics that are good for closers because ERA, you can have a 4 ERA and have a ridiculous season because of a couple blow-up games. Your ERA plus, there's some closers that have had like 300 ERA pluses. It's not as equal as it is to starting pitchers, but the biggest thing, because the save is an actual thing, the ninth inning is actually different than every other inning, regardless of what analytics says. To me, that's where the value is. And he's searching for a goal. He wants that 500. I think it's something that you've solidified a position. It's kind of like getting position players. Oh, this guy plays short, third, left field. He's going to bounce around to all three. It's like, well, did you really upgrade? Or is this like an upgrade to the bench? It's like a bullpen guy. Kyle Finnegan, good closer, gets a lot of saves. Now he gets to bump back to the 8th inning, 7th inning, depending on where they're at in the lineup, and they get those good matchups because you have a solidified 9th inning guy.
Mm-hmm. Next reliever that goes, look at the money for Tyler Rogers. 3 years, $37 million, no deferrals. The Blue Jays signed him. There's also a vesting option in there that can make this a 4-year, $48 million deal. It looks like they had the highest offer and they had the ultimate chip. They were like, we named the ballpark after you years ago in anticipation of this recruitment. And they won him.
I didn't even think about that. I like that. You made me LOL. You made me laugh out loud. I was actually there when Tyler Rogers got to be in the big leagues. 2019, I was with the Giants in their exhibition games at the end. I wasn't there in spring training. And he didn't make the team. They were like, this guy has killed it in the minor leagues. Something people don't realize about Tyler Rogers is he killed the minor leagues for years and didn't make it up until he was 28 years old. And Bruce Bochy was like, oh, this guy, he really should make the team. And he was fortunate he was able to make his big league debut that year. And it's something that he has found a niche between staying healthy and being very unique. His velocity has not gone down. And teams that use him and his unique delivery to its fullest shows why he's getting a 3-year deal. Think about other relievers that have gotten 3-year deals. And he goes to the Blue Jays now, which I don't know if we have the graphic or not, but you go Trey Savage, who throws the highest release point, 7'1" or 7'2" in baseball, to Tyler Rogers, who throws the lowest release point in baseball.
Boom,
there we go. Yeah, perfect.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
And
they're the arm angle differences. They also picked up that guy Chase Lee over the weekend from the Tigers, who's pitched a little bit, and kind of a late bloomer, 27-year-old side armor. So clearly they're into different arm angles right now, Kratz.
Don't give hitters the same look twice. If you go Trey Savage to Tyler Rogers to Jeff Hoffman, like, you're getting so many different looks. Don't make your team all exactly the same, because big league hitters, even crappy 209 negative WAR hitters like me, can make an adjustment if you see the exact same thing over and over again. And the Blue Jays definitely are building that look in their bullpen and their rotation. And I think there is so many huge benefits to that. But analytically, that might not always show up. But players will say, crap, like, I was just getting in a groove facing this guy, and now we're seeing something from down there. Or we're seeing something from the left side coming at 3/4. You know, it is something. And the Rays kind of started it before, getting all hands of the clock with a pitcher. It's just tougher and tougher for hitters to consistently square things up in a great American League East. And the Blue Jays keep pouncing while the iron's hot here.
Yeah, they love what just happened in October, and they want a lot more of it, and they're getting aggressive. And you got to appreciate that they're investing it right back into the team. Canada is just loving their offseason so far, and I think there's a lot more to go. All right, let's try and do 4 moves in 4 minutes. Ready? Danny Jansen up next, $14.5 million, 2-year contract. Texas Rangers let Jonah Heim go. They replace him right here. Also some smaller moves here, as you can see from Ken. Alexis Diaz, who used to be really good as closer for the Reds, and then lefty reliever Tyler Alexander. But here's your replacement, Danny Jansen, super solid.
Love that he got a 2-year deal. He's kind of been on the fringe kind of guy, and his ability to learn some new things receiving-wise when he went over to Milwaukee was kind of a role player. He'll get more burn. The combo of him and Higgy, Texas is still valuing that receiving, and they're still valuing what Danny Jansen can do and what Higgy can do. And I think it'll be, probably around an 80 game split. So they're essentially spending about $14 million, $13 million at the catching position, which, if you look at other teams, they're going to spend that on a starting catcher. So good for the Rangers, and I think it's a good spot for them.
Mm-hmm. Next up, Dustin May, Sweeper City, going to St. Louis. Chaim Bloom making a move here to acquire someone that, if things work out, is a trade chip for you at the deadline.
Yeah, for sure. Get him to stay in the strike zone. Get him to harness all the things after a full offseason of health, because he's kind of gone through not just baseball health, but like physical health, like life things that he has found out that now he's getting back out on the mound last year. Can he have a full healthy offseason? The sky's the limit for a dude that throws that much variation on that sweeper slider and then the running sinker. I don't even call it a sinker, the runner in. It's just so hard to keep him in the zone. Can they figure out how to keep him in the zone? How can that catching core, the pitching coaches, the organization keep him in the zone for 15 games? And at the trade deadline, that would be a massive piece, because then he can make a huge contract in the offseason, which you thought he would have years ago when he first broke into the big leagues, and you were like, whoa, this dude is electric.
Yeah, we were like, this kid has it. But maybe a lower pressure environment too, just kind of do his thing and just rack up starts. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't make a difference. But yeah, health, that's true. But I mean, 25 appearances, 23 starts this past season. ERA was about 5. But we'll see. I mean, yeah,
coming off of
for a while. Now you prove health. Now you get better.
Yes.
Right? Still young. Yeah. Okay. I like it. Josh Bell, 1 year, $7 million, Minnesota Twins, classic Twins move. This also further solidifies they're probably not trading their big boys. They're just going to do these little baby ads. And, Josh Bell's got pop. He's fine. He's there. He's actually getting up there now. I feel like we used to talk about Josh Bell back in that one first half he had where everyone was like, is this dude about to be an MVP? And, he's been a okay first baseman.
I mean, JB, I was there when he made his major debut with the Pirates, and they brought him up just for like a weekend, and he absolutely killed the Cubbies. Thought we were getting back in the race, and we were still like 10.5 games behind the Cubs. I think that was 2016, so that year ended up pretty well for the Cubs. But he's somebody that is always tinkering with his swing. He's always saying, it's just not good enough. And as a switch hitter, that's tough. You hope that the Twins, who have done a good job with some of their hitters, can help him and keep to it. But you know what? You're getting your solid veteran presence there at first base, and kind of like what we said about Dustin May. Maybe a trade chip. I think he would have been a trade chip this year at the first base position had he not gotten off to such a slow start. But he's always going to put together good at-bats, and it's always going to be a different-looking swing. This dude works so hard at it, and when you change your swing that much, you always have a chance to have this 3-month run where this dude's just unconscious because he hits from both sides of the plate. He never has a bad matchup.
Mm-hmm. Not a good defender, so maybe more DH time too with Minnesota, and they certainly have a spot there. I mean, below average defender, right? But above average bat this past season. So fine. That's where the Twins are going to play ball this offseason. And then lastly, I think we got to everything here from Major League signings over the weekend. Amed Rosario bringing himself back to the Yankees, 1 year, $2.5 million. And they had talked about how they wanted to have this kind of platoon option. And clearly they had a little taste and they're like, cool, we like this. We like the versatility he brings. We like what we can do off the bench. And he can spell Ryan McMahon against left-handed pitching.
I like his energy. I'm not going to talk anything about physical on the field. I like what he brings. And some people might get pissed off about it. But sometimes the Yankees just everyone just gets in line. Amed Rosario brings a little bit he's on the bench. He's not playing that day. Somebody hits a big home run. He comes out of the end of the dugout, walks across in front. Some people are like, oh, it's too much for me. I love what he brings to this team. And he's still a decent player when he plays his role, when he's put in his role. But to me, I love that energy. I love that smile. And I love the fact that he's ready to go at any time to get that big at-bat against a lefty for this team.
Kratz, you're the star right now. So BetMGM is all about you today.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I love that. Let's do it.
BetMGM futures, the tour continues. The Phillies are 10-1 odds to win the World Series, not to represent the National League. Although either way, that's probably going to be the biggest hurdle for them. They couldn't take down the Dodgers, but that's pretty good value for Philly.
This is one of my favorite values right now for the World Series because maybe I'm a sucker for the double digit 10-1. If it was 9-1, I might say, I don't know. People are like, oh, it's only $100. But to me, I like the 10-1. I like it because when the season starts, I think the Braves could get off to a hot start. I think the Phillies will be keeping with them or they'll be a little bit ahead. That number is only going to go down. They're going to make another signing. Unless they miss out on JT Realmuto and they don't get rid of Castellanos' contract, even if those things don't happen, they're still going to be a good team. I don't see this going to 11 or 12-1. So I love it at 10-1. I really do. And I don't see it moving very much because I don't see them getting an Alex Bregman. I don't see them getting a Kyle Tucker or Cody Bellinger. I just see this as being where they're going to be. And I think they're the second best currently today. The second best team in the National League, and the National League is going to win the World Series. So why not? I think the Dodgers are coming out at plus 350. That might even be a little bit high. It might be lower than that.
300s. Yep.
Yeah, and so to me, I love that I'm getting 7-1 on top of what the Dodgers are getting, and they could have beaten them. They didn't, and that's the beauty of the playoffs.
I thought they were by far the second best team in the National League, and they just happened to run into
wire to wire
in a short series, and that team was better than them. So that's what happened. BetMGM players will receive a Pro Football Same Game Parlay Boost token in the BetMGM app. If you're signed up and you're all funded up, use that token with a little Same Game Parlay wager made up of bets from a pro football game to your bet slip. Activate the token. If you win your wager that was made with that token, you get extra winnings. It's that simple. Gambling problem or concern, there is help. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Let's slap. Hey, Edwin Diaz in Spanish the other day said it's going to be incredible when the trumpets sound in Los Angeles. It's going to be special. Think about it. He's bringing that whole act out to LA. They're going to love it. It's fun. Have you seen that live? I mean, the closer entrances in general, there's probably 3 to 5 that feel like their signature at this point. You've got Durantula out in Philly now, coming over from Minnesota. I know many of them have it, but there's a few that stand out. This one is up there. You won't have Mr. Met. You won't have a Dodger. I guess somebody will be dancing, or the whole ballpark will be dancing. But usually they have a whole act with like 4 mascots over in Queens.
Don't need it. Don't need it in LA. And I'll tell you why. Number 1 sound system in the entire game. If there is some bass in Timmy Trumpets, that system will be rocking. And that stadium, I don't care what the fan situation is, if they're caught in traffic or not, it is a game changer. I don't know why other stadiums don't have the sound system. Maybe there's like regulations or something. But yes, I love that he said this. Trompetos increíbles. The incredible trumpets is going to be banging in LA.
And actually, we just found out, I think it was Ken that put it out there. He's got a conditional option on his contract too. If he misses a certain amount of time, they get 1 more year in 2029 for $6.5 million. That all came out today too. So we got all the news in from a ridiculously busy weekend. You'll see Trevor May, Jason Kipnis, Kevin Pillar, cast of characters joining us throughout the week here as the co-host with Kratz and with me. But right now, I actually think you guys should check out Dodger Territory because Katie Wu's on there. She's an insider nationally, and she's, of course, now covering the Dodgers on a daily basis. So we'll flip you right over there, and we'll see you tomorrow.